Starting the stream. Good evening, everybody. It is Monday, October the 12th. I know it because tomorrow Steve from Minecraft gets added to Smash Brothers as a new character, so I'm super excited about that.
Wow.
Steve and Alex and an Enderman and a zombie are all the different versions of the character. I mean, it's one character, the same moveset, but different skins. Anyway, it's 9:30 on the East Coast. It's 6:30 on the West Coast. That must mean it's time for your weekly Calamity Jane live stream. James, it's Monday night. How are you feeling on this late summerish, technically fallish night?
Based on that announcement, I suspect I'm doing just fine, but I suspect you are even doing better with the giddiness I heard with you announcing more characters for.
Yeah. Well, I exercised today, which always makes me feel good. I got a head start on the week for my work, and I get to have a new Smash Brothers character tomorrow. What is not to be in a good mood about right now? I mean, aside from all of the other things. So,
are you for this character? Is it a ranged character? What kind of type of character have they explained? Do they just leave it all completely mystery?
no. Masahiro Sakurai, the game director, did a 45-minute presentation on the breakdown of the character. I'm super excited. It looks like one of the most interesting characters in all of Smash Brothers. I mean, it's very different. I'm really curious to see how it's going to affect the metagame. I'm not much of a tournament player, but I am curious to see how tournament players find the character, because it breaks a lot of the conventions of Smash Brothers. But as always, like he is just an absolute genius with taking a source material and integrating it beautifully into the Smash Brothers mechanics. And so you can mine, you can craft, you can dig up stuff, you can detonate TNT by laying down gunpowder and then igniting it with a pressure pad that you have to have redstone to activate. I mean, it's crazy the level of attention that went into making this character work. I think it's a really interesting character. I cannot wait to try it out. I like Minecraft. I'm not a diehard fan of it like I am of Smash Brothers per se, or for example rather. But I do like Minecraft, so I'm really excited to see how this character plays.
With that, I'm going to pause it real quick and get into our drawing side of things. I'm going to share my screen, but we're just bookmarking the conversation here.
Right. We put it on pause while we get the fun part. It is fun for two old men to talk about strange, random, geeky things, but it's more interesting to watch you create art in front of us. So what are you working on tonight?
So when we last left off, I was working on Wanda, and I had the intention of working on Molly as well tonight when I kind of get closer to getting Wanda kind of wrapped up. So yeah, I'm just going to continue where we kind of just pick up where we left off, and then you and I will be talking obviously about Minecraft a little bit and Smash Brothers as we go. So
I mean, I don't know that I have much else to say other than that I think it's going to be a really interesting character, and I'm curious how it affects the game long term, honestly.
Well, I mean, I've got questions because I've never played Minecraft before.
Okay.
I've always heard of it. I didn't know there was a main character in Minecraft at all to glean from. I thought everything was sort of based on whatever you build, they will come kind of a thing, like Field of Dreams stuff. So I must be off on that.
Yeah, I mean, there's always been an avatar that you occupy while you play the game. And in the earlier days of the game, the avatar didn't have a name or anything like that. And if I'm remembering this correctly, so this might be slightly apocryphal, but the original creator of the game, Notch, who has become persona non grata for some of his less savory perspectives on race issues, unfortunately.
The personality on YouTube, is that right? I've heard that name.
No, that's PewDiePie. Is probably who you're thinking of, but no, Notch is the guy who founded Mojang. This is the company that made Minecraft,
Oh, okay, okay.
And he and I'm forgetting the other guy. I apologize to the other guy who worked on the game, brought it to life. And in an interview, someone asked him, "Hey, what's the name of the character that you play as?" And it's just this really, really generic avatar. Everything is super boxy in the game, and so the avatar is relatively genderless. And he jokingly called it Steve, and the name stuck.
Huh.
Then flash forward to years later, and Minecraft is this global sensation, and Microsoft buys Minecraft.
Yeah, I remember that.
And Notch gets his big payday and then disappears into the sunset, thankfully. Then Minecraft, in the interest of sort of, because the audience is like split 50-50. I mean, everybody, there's no, Minecraft like basically breaks through every single gender category and demographics category at large, which is great. And so they wanted to add a secondary main character to go along with Steve, and so they added Alex, who is a much more obviously feminine looking character in as much as you can create feminine and masculine appearances in Minecraft.
Okay.
And yeah, and so that's those since then have been the two primary protagonists, if you can call them that, of Minecraft.
Oh, okay. I did not know any of that. So Notch was a designer. Was he the
designer? A kind of a programmer. Minecraft started actually as a Java applet, and in fact, it's so small. Microsoft and Mojang, I guess. And as an aside, Microsoft has been extremely egalitarian, I guess, with Minecraft. You would think that after they bought it, they would just lock it down and turn it into this proprietary entity, but no, they've been really hands off with Mojang and how Mojang does its business, which I think has pleased a lot of people, because there was a lot of trepidation that Microsoft was just going to close the door behind them after they bought it, and on the contrary, they've done a really good job of opening it up. They implemented crossplay across everything. I can play with my nephew on his phone, and I'm playing on my Switch, right? And it's a Microsoft property. I mean, it's a big deal.
Huh.
And one of the things that Mojang did not too long, I think it was one of the major milestone anniversaries, they released the original beta Java applet as a standalone web app. It's so small. If you go to classic.minecraft.net, I think is the address, you can play the original beta just right in your web browser.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you can actually just play the source game, or you can just get it on whatever console you want and play it cross-platform.
Correct, and it's a little bit the versions are a little fractured. There's Bedrock Edition, which is the one that supports all the new Googads and Gigaws. I think they're adding axolotls, which is sort of what Kalamity to a certain extent was inspired by. They're adding axolotls to the game, and they recently did a massive new update where they added a whole new area, a biome that deals with one of the alternate dimensions that you can get to. Oh man, this is so geeky. Called the Nether Realm, which is not to be confused. I guess it's technically the Nether. It's not to be confused with the Nether Realm from Mortal Kombat and the similarly named.
That comes to my mind is
exactly. But in any case,
by the way, this segment of Minecraft is non-sponsored by Guinness Extra Stout. That's what I've got going on.
Extra Stout, because you didn't like how stout Guinness was to start with.
No, I need something extra tonight.
Damn.
I had a feeling I was going to be taking in a lot of information on some type of game.
Yeah.
Brain, and here we are. So
you made the right choice.
So Minecraft, I thought, was all about pretty much playing digital Legos and kids just showing off their stuff. But is it now like all age groups are playing it and stuff?
Oh yeah. I mean, it's interesting to watch my niece and nephew as they grow up. They come in and out of Minecraft.
Okay.
They'll be really it's really popular for a while, and then they get to a certain age, and then it's not cool amongst their friends for a while.
Yeah.
But then they get a little bit older, and then it's cool again, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting to watch the evolution of their attitudes, because I mean, kids the age of my niece and nephew, they're, well, I'm just gonna be blunt. Generally speaking, they're not really individuals yet, and they're still trying to define their individuality, and they test the waters by bouncing their ideas off their friends. So kids, more than any other group, in my opinion, although who knows anymore, tend to be pretty susceptible to groupthink, right?
Hey kids, if your uncle is Eric here,
Yeah.
I was not the one that's sponsored that message.
Yeah.
I think you're great individuals, and you know what's going on.
Great. I'm glad we balanced that out. Yeah.
So now we've got that disclaimer out of the way. So.
And so it's always funny to watch my niece and nephew as they get older and their age group, whatever the new fad or whatever is popular, shifts, how they sort of organically shift into that mindset as well. It's really interesting to watch it. And I'm not like, I did the same thing. We all did the same thing when we were my niece and nephew's age. It's a part of growing up. It's a part of figuring out who you are, right? It's
groupthink or kind of hang out with the herd, sort of.
Yeah, exactly. So, but yeah, I know more people who are adults who play it than children, actually.
Mm-hmm.
And it started out as kind of digital Legos, but no, it is a force of nature unto itself now.
So now this type of game, is it user generated? It seems like it's a new genre of game, but I could be just completely off because I don't pay attention that much to genres anymore. I just play a game and that's it. But it feels like Minecraft is user generated content type game, such as just like Mario Maker is, right? Like, does it fall into a category?
It's actually your analogy to Mario Maker in terms of user-generated content versus officially generated content isn't wrong. I don't know that the balance is the same. Generally speaking, you'll have the Java edition and the Bedrock edition. The Bedrock edition, you're not going to just get any user off the street able to upload content because all of that stuff can be monetized.
Okay.
So you have to become a Minecraft partner to be able to put your content up on the Microsoft Store, because you can sell it, and they try to do a pretty decent job of making sure that there's a level of quality in place there. That being said, on the Java edition, although Java edition has been deprioritized in the last several updates, anybody and their brother can create new content for it. It's also where Mojang plays around with new features and updates. So like any new systems that they want to introduce, they will, in the past, launch it first on Java Edition before they make it go official for Beta Edition. So Java Edition, in a lot of ways, has just kind of become the early access version of Minecraft.
Is it kind of like their beta testing environment to just kind of throw out an idea and then go, hey, what do you got?
Yeah, you still have to. Yeah, you still have to opt into it. But yeah, if you opt into that, then you'll get all of their test content.
That's kind of that's kind of cool. I mean, I guess it's one way to, test something out and not get too ricked over the coals over it by the time you officially say it's gold or whatever the verbiage that they use in games.
Right, absolutely.
Ready to be released. So that's kind of cool. So that's all new to me. I had no, and here we are talking about Minecraft, but really this all started because of Smash Brothers. So
interestingly enough, yeah, which is definitely one of my favorite games of all time.
So meanwhile, as we were talking, I am just working on Wanda, and I don't know if to the ones to tens of people out there that are watching, all I've done is I've drawn her foot, then I just recycled and mirrored it on the other side, and I'm just kind of trying to wrap up her design a little bit. And
so this is a super minor point, but I actually really liked you adding sort of the rolled up ends of her pants there for a second.
See, now you notice here, I have Molly here in my library as a drawing.
Yeah.
Um,
Those look like
uh,
capris to me, right?
yeah, I was gonna say these are capris. I was tempted to go capris with her, but no. I think Molly gets the capris, and I think with her, she's gonna actually get rolled up pants.
Nice. Yeah, even when you did that just in that brief moment, it looked cool. I like the way that the rolled up pants looked on. It worked perfectly for sandals. Almost like you could see her kind of, you know, just kind of lounging at the edge of a pool, kicking her feet in the water almost.
Yeah, I think with well, both of them are kind of more. They're kind of pretty chill and laid back, but I want them to always have the ability to chill and be laid back anywhere they go.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of the thought process I have when I was working on them. I think out of the two of them, I think well, I was gonna say I don't know which out of the two, which one's more high strung. And again, it's not something we have to answer anyway now these days, but maybe when they become more of a central part of a story, something we could think about.
Sure. Yeah.
What you see visual. This is one of those things where sometimes, Eric, you'll write something and then I draw it. Other times I'll draw something and then you write it. So
yeah, that's happened on numerous occasions actually.
Yeah, we kind of baton hand off. So essentially I'm just drawing it, but the baton handoff will be in your court as to how you want to handle them as characters. But it's kind of interesting too because like what does with you on the writing side, you see the visual. Does that impact how you want to write about them?
I will be honest. I see these two as a couple, and I see them as just crazy laid back. And the way I actually see it is if there is a moment where there is an emotional stressor that would cause an outburst such that they would have one, they would probably actually take turns doing it.
So they're almost like the same.
Yeah, I'm
imagining
a gig, like a little gag, where Wanda gets really angry and then Molly goes, "Calm down, calm down. It's okay. It's not a big deal." And then she immediately has the outburst, right?
That's hilarious.
So it's not just one of them. Yeah, they trade off opportunities in as much as they would get frustrated.
That's hilarious already. I mean, that's already at a different level to them already. So now as I'm drawing them, I mean, I'm thinking about that now, like different scenarios, different poses of them freaking out.
Yeah, and they always take turns, right? Like they each have different triggers, like what their hot buttons are, right?
That's pretty funny.
Yeah, and then so one of them, whoever gets their hot button pressed, they'll freak out, and then the other one, calm down, and then she will then freak out on her partner's behalf.
That's hilarious. I find that hilarious. I love it. Love that idea. Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, that's where, just looking at those two, that's kind of what my headspace is.
Cool. So I mean, obviously, and we've kind of made up stories for a lot of these guys that are townsfolk. And again, like I think in the coming weeks, as I draw more, I'll probably, I'm going to probably take a couple of these other characters and start drawing them, and we'll probably talk about their stories too.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't had a chance to do the baby yet. We're at a point where I always was going to do a baby with them, but as far as I know, our lips are sealed as far as the baby's concerned, or any kind of whatever. I mean, it's just part of. I don't know whether the baby's more of an accessory or has a personality, or we're gonna kind of purposely leave that vague. Like there's some things to think about there.
Sure. I think I don't really have. I mean, I know that the baby, in my mind, needs to be with them pretty much all the time. I feel like they are very loving parents, and their kid is a huge part of who they are, and I don't mean that in a negative sense. I mean that in they want the child to be, they want to be with their kid, pure and simple.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that is a part of the nature of these two characters, is they're always going to have the kids together. But one thing I want to make clear is I don't see either one of them as being a won't someone think about the children parents.
That was my next question. I was going to say, do either of them ever resort to the Simpsons character of that town's lady? Is it Ned Flanders' wife? Who is it?
No, it's Reverend Lovejoy's wife.
Oh, okay, all right. Yeah, I thought it was sort of almost like a C level character.
Yeah, no, yeah, like we're down in the D levels. No, I don't. I find it hard to believe that they would come to a place like Dry Gulp Gorge and then proceed to constantly go, but what about the children, right? Mm-hmm. They're here because they're adventure seekers. They're here because they want their kid to have a broader experience of the world. And in their mind, whether they're right or wrong, in my mind at least, in their minds, this is one of the ways that they do it.
Cool.
Is by going to this sort of frontier town, in as much as it is, and just, you know, giving their kid the opportunity to have as many experiences as possible, and then, you know, protecting the kid along the way.
So, quote unquote, normal life isn't a priority as much as them exposing their child to experiences.
I think that if you ask them that question, they'd go, "Well, I am living a normal life." That would be Wanda's response. Is like, "What do you mean normal? Of course we're living a normal life."
Fair enough. Yeah, she's yeah, these two are coming along. I think.
Yeah.
I'm trying to see here. I'm wondering about the color scheme a little bit still, but again, that can be easily changed. As you've seen, I've already been changing my mind here and there, but I'm not going to get too caught up in color schemes all the way yet. I'm fine with just getting this general shape down.
I don't have any immediate feedback on the color schemes right now. I think those are all good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I trust your judgment in that regard.
Cool. So that's a good sign. At least one audience member and or participant, viewer, is okay with it.
That's right. Always good. That's right. So, but yeah, another case.
As far as I mean, while we're on Dry Gulp Gorge and the town, it makes me wonder about. Okay, so we understand their motivation, and I know like I said, we just have some sketches of these other characters. Have you thought about what drew them to Dry Gulp Gorge yourself? Like, do you have something in mind? I do on myself on some of them, but not on all.
Yeah, I on some of them I do. I think for some of them it's as simple as they're wanderers, like Kalamity is to a certain extent. Mm-hmm. And because Dry Gulp Gorge tends to be at a bit of a crossroads, it's just a fun place to be for them. And so they just kind of, as they wandered, they found this place and they just sort of never left. A few of the characters are like that. Like,
yeah.
But in the case of, obviously, in Wanda and Molly, they're here deliberately. Mm-hmm. But no, I haven't thought about it for every character.
And I don't think, and obviously we don't. I mean, they're not the stars of the show anyway. But at least for me, when I'm drawing them, I always kind of start putting a story, to them a little bit. So it's kind of fun to hear a story for Wanda and Molly now. Now anytime I do them, and anytime we do a scene with them or anything like that, it's always gonna be in the back of my mind, which is really cool actually. Just adds a little bit more depth to the backdrop of these guys of the town, which again, the town is a character.
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
And these characters comprise the character. I mean, it's like not to say it's like Voltron or something with a bunch of cats making a giant robot, but
although the sky's the limit. I mean, maybe when we're completely out of ideas.
Oh man,
we reveal that Dry Gulp Gorge actually is a Voltron.
Oh jeez.
Each house represents like a part of a limb, and when it fully forms, like Kalamity is the one who is in the head unit, right? And the prickly pear is the chest segment, and Mitchell Winchester's in the chess segment.
And then they always have to yell out, "And I'll form the head."
Right, exactly.
And do that part.
Whenever Drago Gorge turns into a Voltron, it's always a 2-part episode because the first part is just forming the Voltron, and then the second part is the reason why it formed.
Oh, geez, yeah, it's such an explanation. Boy, those transformation scenes take up like at least a good 5 minutes of the show every time. But you know what? It was so. I guess for me as a kid watching that stuff, it was so cool to watch because there's so much action lines and stuff. It's forgivable, but boy, that's pretty smart on their part.
Oh, super great for economics. Like, you just go, okay, great. Well, we have a 25-minute slot to fill, but we have to write 20 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. Like they just get a bonus. They get bonus coins right off the bat.
Yeah.
Any episode.
You animate it once, and then you're good to go forever.
Yeah, I haven't had a chance to watch the new version of Voltron on Netflix yet. I've seen the.
I didn't even know there was one.
Yeah, it's on there. My nephews were watching it, but it's on there. But I'm not sure how many seasons it got or if it's any good. But you know, it's the same old thing. Like I have historical bias because I grew up with a certain affinity for the original. And now they've gone back and then also what's funny is I don't know if I'm sure you remember, but they did Voltron with the cats, and then they did the other one with the cars. I couldn't get into the cars at all. I just wasn't feeling it.
I know that sounds familiar. I know I've seen it, but I really only have memories of the cat version.
Okay.
Yeah. I do. I totally go, yeah, you're right. There was a car version, but I don't think I ever actually watched the car version.
Yeah, but probably because it just wasn't as good. I mean, even back then as a kiddo, you had the sophisticated taste that I did not have, and I would watch anyway and be annoyed.
I think it was just because it wasn't on the TV stations that I had when I was a kid. Because I think I would have liked it more actually if I'd seen it, because I think cars are more interesting looking than lions.
Yeah, no, the cats were definitely cooler. I mean, they were awesome to look at and everything. Whereas the cars were just zipping around, and I already got my fix from Transformers, so I didn't get the point.
I mean, nothing can beat Power Rangers though, and like every single.
See, now Power Rangers was beyond my time. I couldn't get into Power Rangers at all. I would watch Rita Repulsa and go, "What is this?" And
yeah, Power Rangers was just on the tail end of my youth, right? I was right at the point of discovering more adult as an entertainment intended for people over the ages of children. So I watched it, but I just could not. It just didn't. Yeah, I outgrew it very, very quickly as a result of the timing.
And then see, Power Rangers went through a whole morphing thing too, meaning morphing Power Rangers, of course, but meaning like they went through so many different kids or teenagers, whatever, that were, whatever colors they were. I mean, it was crazy. I mean, they were around, it felt like they were around forever.
Yeah, no, it changed a lot. I mean, there were dinosaurs and cars and tanks and spaceships and everything that you can possibly imagine that you could combine into a larger robot. And I remember I knew, and this was a sign of me becoming more aware. I realized that they were going to recast the Yellow Ranger, because for like 5 or 6 episodes she was in the show, but they only showed the back of her head and she never spoke.
Wow. Really?
Yeah. And I'm like, oh, they're recasting her because she's not actually in this show.
So there must have been Asian negotiation type stuff going on behind the scenes or something.
Well, no, the actress who played her in the American interlude sections, she either quit or got fired. I don't know which one.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know why they didn't change it immediately, but they didn't. And so for like 4 or 5 episodes, you just saw nothing but the back of her head, because obviously the actor wasn't there anymore. But it was fine for the action sequences, because all of that came from, I think, Saigon, in Japan. Yeah. So.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. And I remember my friend, one of my best friends, who's still one of my very, very closest friends, I would tell him that he's like, and the Yellow Ranger was his favorite Ranger, and he was so angry at me every time I told him that the Yellow Ranger was not in the show anymore. He's like, no, look, she's right there, and I'm like, dude, it's just the back of her head. That could be anybody.
Oh,
it's like, you're totally wrong. He got so angry at me.
Poor guy.
Yeah.
I hate when those type of things happen to your favorite characters.
Yeah, I know. It's the worst. But
well, we don't have to worry about that with Wanda and Molly. They'll be here.
That's right. We might replace their voice actors constantly, but they're here. We might pull a constant MST3K on everybody just to keep things fresh. But
sure, why not?
She's looking pretty complete.
Yeah, I think I'm in a pretty good spot with her. I mean, creative land, and you do this as well, I'm sure, Eric, is you do something and you feel like it's done and you come back to it a little bit later and then you tweak it, or you're not happy with it, you throw it in the garbage and you, whatever. But I think she feels pretty done, and I'm going to move on to Molly next week.
Cool.
Next week, I think.
Yeah, one of my favorite quotes about art, or the creation of art, is I think Leonardo da Vinci said it. Art is never completed; it's only abandoned.
Yeah, that's a good quote.
And I think we're on the verge of being able to abandon this character.
Fair enough. We'll manage to move on to the next and migrate to the next one.
All right. Well, we'll save that for next week because we've crossed the 30-minute threshold, and I'd like for people to get back to their normal existences, as much as I know they want to continue to hear more about the esoteric idiosyncrasies of Minecraft history. We will let
I
you
learned
go.
something about Minecraft. It's a huge game.
There you go. Hey, I wrote a magazine about it. That's one of the reasons why I know so much about it, honestly.
That's good. You retained the knowledge. That means it's stuck.
Yeah, good. I know, but then I also don't know how to tie shoes anymore, so I don't know if it was really worth it.
Well, does magic, does wonders, man.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, well, as always, everybody, if you want to learn more about Calamity Jane, you can always find us on Patreon, which you can type or find just by typing in calamityjane.rocks in your browser of choice. You can find us on Facebook, YouTube, which is where you're watching us right now, presumably. And we will be back, as always, next week at the same time, 9:30 East Coast, 6:30 West Coast. Good night, everybody.
Good night.